Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Insider's Edge podcast. And we are thrilled to have with us today. I'm Jeff Jacobson, by the way, your host. Everybody knows who I am. But what's most important is who our guest is today. We have the freedom designer, Julie Burke. Julie, welcome to the show today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for jumping on. You know, the audience can't see, we've had a great conversation leading up to this actual recording. So this is going to be a great interview. I got my seatbelt on. I hope everybody else does. We are ready to get going. Julie, welcome to the show. You know, we talked a little bit earlier about how we choose our guests. And one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on the show is because, number one, you have an incredibly diverse background. You've done a lot of things. It's not like you've been in the same job for 30 years like my grandpa was. And so we think you're going to have a tremendous amount of value. And I'm really excited for our audience to hear your story, you know, how you got your start, why you pivoted, why you changed, and, you know, a lot of the tactical things that were behind your decision making. So I'm really thrilled that you're here today. I guess before we get into the tactical side of things, most of our audience know we kind of like to go deep. We like to peel back that curtain and let people see who our guests are. So to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your childhood, your upbringing, where you grew up, and maybe some influences or impact or people that you had in your childhood that kind of shaped who you are or created an impact in your life.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Jeff, for having me. Really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. Okay, so a little bit about me. I grew up in Chicago. Born and raised and still here. And I asked myself, why am I still here? 44 years. I'm still here, but no, I love it, but I could do without the winters. So, you know, I grew up in your typical, just loving family. My dad was an incredible salesman. It's probably how I learned a lot about, it's probably why maybe I'm successful with selling, because he always taught me that, selling is not about the sale, it's about the relationship. And I think that was something I always took forward with me. And I believe that to be true. Now, we were middle class. My parents are still married today, 53 years.
Wow.
I know it's like unheard of right now.
Yeah, it is.
But, they loved my sister and I unconditionally. But they never forced me to, I guess you could say, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was gone a lot, traveling with the sales. And then he opened his own company. He had a computer graphics company in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And it did really well. We were like living the life. He was driving a Porsche. My mom had a Cadillac. They're off doing their things, taking me to their racquetball, and all of a sudden, and we were doing really good. However, Microsoft was born, and it put my dad's business into the ground. And because he cared so much about the employees, he continued to keep the business open until we ended up going bankrupt. And so I think I was about 11 or 12 at that time. And it was a pivotal moment because it put a lot of stress on my parents in our home. I heard, there was a lot of arguments. And then it also allowed, my mom had to go and get a job, right? Mm-hmm. But I saw my dad fight his way through figuring out alternatives and what to do. And, he had, he took a sales job. And so I think a lot of these little pivotal events is what led me into, having that drive and that motivation and the fighter in me. People always say I'm a fighter because I'm constantly figuring stuff out. There's been a lot of, people could say, oh, she's been so successful, but the success came with also failures and making mistakes, right? It was just me not giving up and persistence. I'm very persistent, which then led over to my 11-year-old son, who is also very persistent, which is why we go like this.
Right, your kids become you.
Yes, my husband always says we're an old married couple. Like my son and I, because he's like, you guys fight like an old married couple. And so anyways, so here I am, I ended up starting to work when I like just turned 14, and I worked ever since. I started in the restaurant industry, and then I went into like the bar industry. And so this is where the point of my story came, where I finished high school. I actually graduated early. I had no clue what I was going to do because, like I said, my dad was in the military, and then he went and started like got married, and then went into sales, started this business. And then my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So neither one of them were like, you have to go to college. Like, they didn't put that pressure on me. And so I went through high school, I got good grades, but I kind of was like, oh, college isn't for me. I'm never going to go to college. Like, nobody in my family went to college. My sister went to court reporting school for a specialty, but like no one got their bachelor's degree. So that was me. And I said, well, I'm going to go to a secretarial school. And that's what I did. I literally was like 17 years old. I did some gen ed courses, and then I went to a secretarial school, and I got a job down in the city. And at that time, when I'm 17, 18, making $36,000 a year, and my friends are all going to college, I was like writing the ticket. I'm I'm going to ISU, Eastern, Southern, U of I. Like every weekend I was away partying at the schools, and then coming back and working during the week.
You were living the college life.
I was living the college life, but I was also making a good deal of money, right? So they always loved when I came to visit. But there was a switch, and the shift happened. Actually, I have my husband to thank. When I met my husband, he was 19. I was about 21 years old, and yes, he's a little bit younger.
Right.
But he was going to Purdue University, and I think just seeing him working full time and also getting his degree, because it just kind of like was like in the back of my head, well, that's a great thing to have to fall back on if I ever need it. So I did, and so I was doing full-time work. I was still in corporate America since I was 17, 18. I'm now 21. So I had that going. I was at the bars on the weekend, and then I was at night school from 6 to 10. And then I would just see him whenever I could. So I got my bachelor's degree in business management with honors. And when I was done with that, I was 23. Decided to leave corporate America and open a franchise. Started and the franchise was Jimmy John's.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
No.
I had no, that's good. Let me ask you a question, because it's come up a bunch in a couple interviews, and it goes back to the event in your life, which was your bankruptcy. I think a lot of people are starting to understand now, and we have a contributor to one of our podcasts. Her name's Cappy Pidwell, and she talks about how important your personal relationship is with money.
Right.
And we're programmed, a lot of us, from the time we're children. Maybe you grow up in a really wealthy family and you don't really think about money because it's always there. Or maybe you grow up like I did in poverty at some level. And so I had a completely different relationship with money. How did that bankruptcy affect your relationship with money, if you even remember? Because your dad had a great job, it seems like. You said, he had a Porsche, your mom had a Cadillac, and things seemed to be pretty easy. Did you notice after that event, did your relationship or your family's relationship with money change at that point?
I don't know about my family's necessarily, because my father borrowed money and had to pay money back. Now, I didn't know this, and he had to pay money back, but a good deal of money, and for us to survive and to keep our home. And later on I found out about that. But I think, and it's funny because I caught myself and this is a good thing about really when you work on yourself and your mindset and just being cognizant. It's super important. And just recently, I would say last year, I was having the conversation with my husband about, I think that I'm having some money mindset issues because, and I think it stems from when I was younger, because unless I saw our account, right, and continue to grow, I was like freaking out unless I was making money, I was freaking out. And it's like, no, no, no. But Julie, happiness doesn't come from money, right?
Right.
Money is energy. Money is great because we all need it to
Hmm.
sustain our life and to grow and to be able, and we love giving away to charity. But I started seeing myself, like, I think during 2020 was kind of like holding on to it. But then I also saw it growing because we weren't doing as much, right?
Right.
And so then I was like, oh my gosh. So then when tax time came and it went out, because we pay quarterly taxes, I like went into freak out mode. And I was like, no, 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 money isn't abundant. Money, money is not the enemy. Money is your friend. I love money and money loves me, right? Like all the things. Like I had to remind myself of that. And I think a lot of that, because being scared of losing money came from seeing us lose money.
Right. Right.
So I had to, it's always like a process, but healing my money story is super, super important. But I think the way that you heal it is just like by catching yourself and being cognizant.
Right.
Oh no, it's creeping back up. Like I have to stop that and just say, money is limitless, because it really is.
Right.
And then another thing was, I also in 2020 stopped like selling my programs, and I stopped coaching. I put the brakes on because I felt out of alignment in what I was doing. And I actually burned that brand down, my Create Success with Julie brand of what I built in this
Hmm.
online space for 3 years straight.
Right.
I burned it down because I was feeling out of alignment. Well, when you're making, a significant amount of money month after month from that, and then you go to nothing, that also contributed to, but I
Yeah.
think the balance there
Right.
came from having my network marketing. Our network marketing company was still going crazy because people were shopping online, right?
Hmm.
Like that was continuing to grow. The residuals
Right.
was continuing to grow. We weren't doing as much. We weren't traveling. I wasn't paying for gas. I wasn't going out for my nails. So like my account was still going up, even though I forwent making multiple 5 figures a month through my brand coaching and all that, right? So
Right.
it kind of like balanced out, but I still catch myself sometimes going, okay, well, I have to heal that. It's all about being cognizant of what is going on in yourself, in your life. Why are things coming up? And asking yourself, why is this happening? Why is this coming up? Why am I feeling like this?
Right.
Kind of just getting back in the center. So absolutely, a lot of my money stories have come from
I
that.
love that you said you have to be cognizant of it. For years in my life, I just I assumed that was my position in life. And a lot of it comes from your childhood, and you don't understand that until you're older, that you get programmed by your parents in a lot of things, and some of them are a lot more
1,000.
obvious, and some of them are almost like your subconscious. And
Right.
I struggled with it for years, and I know a lot of people struggle with it, but I think you made a really good point. And how do you solve that? You become aware of it. You become cognizant of that you actually do have a relationship with money. It's not just, man, I go to work, I didn't get promoted, I didn't make the sale, so I didn't get my commission. There's a lot more that goes into attracting abundance to yourself. You also said something else that I loved. I was listening to a podcast today. They were talking about money. It was with Adrian Grenier, the old actor that was in Entourage on HBO. And he said,
Oh yeah.
what a great interview, by the way. I'm getting sidetracked, but he said, money's not positive or negative. It's
Right.
just a tool. And you said that
Cool.
it is just a tool. And when people start to understand that it is a tool, and another thing you said that we talk about all the time, it's energy. It's constantly in flow. It's either flowing to you or it's flowing to somebody else. But
Right.
it's always moving. And when you can put yourself in a position so that flow comes in your direction, is when you start to live more a life of abundance. I love that shaped you as a child, and you're still as an adult going through that transition.
Yeah, and I think it's a constant, like it's part of growing, right? If we're not growing, we're dying. And so I'm actually going through a wealth practitioner um, course and
Okay. Wow.
certification. Actually, just even, I don't know if I'll do anything with it. I'm sure it will help parlay, because now I am re-identifying my brand, and I want to be able to, like, all of the things that I have learned in this online world. Like I feel because I grew so fast when I came online, there were a lot of things I did wrong and there are things that I did right. I'm not going to say, I mean, obviously I did things right as well, but moving forward, and I might, I mean, it's not created yet, but I feel like there could be a program that I will do to help people kind of shortcut the learning curve. And I feel like wealth activation needs to be a big part of that, like the money mindset, because we need to heal those stories. Another thing was I worked with this past year a spiritual healer. So we did a lot of timeline therapy with me. And another thing that was coming up from my past was perfectionism, which I know stems from my mom, like big time, which is why it took me, I think, 8 months to launch my first course online. Like, I don't want people to wait 8 months to launch a first course. Like, I went on to create 8 more after that. So I have 9 courses, all burnt down with the brand. Like, if I decide to take that and do something with it moving forward, fine. But right now, I'm not selling them, right? Right. Can you believe that? So there has been, so there's perfectionism and then self-worth. And people get shocked when they hear that I have had self-worth, because they're like, oh my gosh, you're like bold and brazen and confident and successful and all the things. And I get it. Like, I show up like that, but the days I don't feel that, like, I don't show up. It's not on, like, I'm not 100% all the time. I go through my own stuff. And so I had to, like, these are things I've been taking the time to work through this past year, which is why I feel like, okay, I'm ready to, like, create one great, amazing, like, signature program to be able to help women, you know, move forward in this crazy online world. Right. And this is where people say I'm a fighter, because gosh, I mean, if I'd be here all day if I told you half the stories of what happened to me in online, with like working with certain people. I had money stolen from me, like just all this stuff. I mean, there's some shade being thrown out there.
There is. That's the undiscussed side of everything that's going on online. And we touched on it a little bit, you know, in our interview. And I think I don't want to stop the momentum of the conversation of you talking about your career path, but I love the fact that you're honest with who you are. You know, I think that in today's day and age, we don't see people's failures. We don't see them in their pivot and their struggles. You know, we see them on a sandy beach taking a selfie. We see them with a picture of their checking account. And
you see the highlight reel. And the highlight reel is not real.
It's not.
It's not real. And yeah, people will look at their beautiful Instagram profiles or whatever they have going on and not realize, like, later on that day they're crying because they're miserable, or like an hour later, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, and that's where I do not allow myself to get hung up on social media. Like, I really don't. I prioritize my time. I don't focus on the scroll. You could I have help, so they'll post for me on Instagram, but to be honest, I don't really go on Instagram. Like, I realized that, like, my space is Facebook, and I just have grown in Facebook, and I don't try and figure out anything else, right? And I know people are like, oh, that's on omnipresence. Okay, fine, but I made a hell of a great living and a lot of money from Facebook, utilizing social, you know, that platform for my brand. Now, I'm not saying you can't go to other platforms. Like, people are like, oh, you do great on TikTok. You know, do I really want to go on TikTok? I don't know. Like, I don't know that story yet. I'll tell you, stories and reels are great. But the thing is, I feel like I've gotten so good that I could smell a mile away when people are like full of crap.
Right. You know? And you got your sniffer out. Right.
Yeah. And so, like, I almost feel like I'm the person going out there, you know, kind of like the no BS and blowing the whistle on a lot of these people. Because I'll tell you right now, and I'll tell you one right now, if someone says they cracked the code, they absolutely haven't. Like, run the other way. I hate that saying, that marketing, it makes me want to vomit.
Right.
Yeah. What the hell is crack the code?
Yeah, what code?
What code? What code have you cracked? And how much do you want for the code? You know, it's like.
Right. Oh my God, that's so funny. I cracked the code. You know, it's Social media is it's got such duality to it. Like I said, Facebook is great. A lot of people in online business use Facebook as a hub. There's half the world's population is on it. So if you want to have a business online, you've probably got to be on there. But then there's the flip side of the social aspect of Facebook. And it's hard. Russell Brunson, the ClickFunnels founder, had a great comment he said about how you work on social media. He said, you create content, but you don't consume it. And I've tried to remember that as we build our brand, as you build your brand, is, man, you can get on Facebook to do part of your business. And it's like, it's all of a sudden, it's like a squirrel, and you run and you follow this negative thread that could go somewhere. And it's really hard. You have to be really disciplined. And I think that's what's difficult now for people, is they know that they've got to be online. It's online business, so you've got to be online in some regard. I think it's really difficult for a lot of people to say, okay, how do I go online to build my business and do something positive, but not get sucked into the negative vortex that exists out there?
Yeah. So you really have to prioritize your time. You really have to put a solid schedule together and like keep things closed down. If you're working on creating a piece of content, or if you're working on creating your own program or a lead magnet or whatever it is, that you're working on, an offer, you better have your phone turned off, and you better have everything off, like your laptop, like no windows open, because that's how quickly we can get sidetracked and lose focus. And that's the other part I do with when I was doing coaching, is accountability, because I'm like in your face, like, no, this is right. Like, I help to refocus. There's that book, The One Thing, and it's so important. It talks about just focusing on that, like, one most important task for the day. And that's a good thing, because I think so often, because our attention spans are like, this, this is why video shorts are doing so much better than long version content. And, when I used to do Facebook Lives, it would be like typically average 20, 25 minutes when I would do a training, or just a live, not even my training. And now it's like doing the stories. People want their content snippet, and you have literally 3 seconds to grab someone's attention, which is also why I studied copy a lot, right? And like compelling copy. And even with my posting, like, these are all the things that like people should be focused on. I don't necessarily spend time on webinars or podcasts or online trainings. Like you said, if I'm going to be teaching, I need to be focusing on like what I'm doing and keep the blinders on, and stay off of social as much as possible. But then I also have the time where I need to go and post, but then I post and I get off. I don't stay on. And that's a big problem for a lot of people.
It is. I think you said the key is discipline and prioritizing, what you're there for, what your intent is. I want to get back to kind of where we left off about Jimmy John's. So you had this life, you bought a Jimmy John's franchise. Take it away.
Yeah. So I bought the Jimmy John's franchise. We had 3 stores. My sister was a silent partner, because she had the equity, her and her husband at the time. They're no longer married. That was fun. Like, having them go through divorce, having money stolen from us. I'm not a quitter, Jeff. I'm not a quitter. But anyways, after 10 years of running this business, or like I say, I was running an adult daycare, I feel like. I learned a lot, but it's something I'll never do. Like, I don't want any brick and mortar business ever again. Right. I think we sued our landlord. They finally let us out of the lease. It was back in 2010, where I'm about to have a baby. Everything kind of, we all know what happened back in 2008, 2009, 10, right? Like, everything was crashing. They didn't want to let us out of our lease. I sued them, and eventually we won. So it's not like I didn't have buyers. I had really successful stores, but it was just that it was the landlord. So sold those, built our dream home, had our first baby, and like, the plan was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to get those stores up and running, profitable, sell them so I could be a stay-at-home mom. It's exactly what happened. But then I lost me through it all. My entrepreneur spirit. I'm sitting behind four walls with now this beautiful baby, and I don't know who I am. And so I started in, I just, I think he was about, I think Austin was about 8 months, and I started in direct sales. I just needed to do something to get out of the house and be with like women. So
Adult.
I don't. So I started selling it was called Celebrating Home or Home Decorators. And I was one of their top people in our sales unit. I mean, I go to these parties and I'd make hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars cash. And it was like a cash and carry business for the most part. But I got so sick and tired of lugging this crap all over the place. And then I got tired of being gone at parties, nights and weekends. Like, I love my husband. I actually want to see my husband and I want to see my baby. And now I'm gone, you know, from 6 o'clock until almost midnight because these women can drink, right? And I have to wait until they're done.
Becomes social hour.
Yeah, I mean, I was drinking too. I'm not saying I wasn't having a cocktail, but you know, and then you're gone nights and weekends. Like, this is ridiculous. So then I went back to the drawing board and I found meetup.com. And I found this women entrepreneur group. And this woman just really intrigued me with what she was saying. And she was the organizer of the group. And I'm very into health and fitness and wellness. And it just captivated me. And she didn't say the name of the company. So I reached out to her. I like hunted her down. She told me the name of the company. I watched the video. It was network marketing. Never heard of network marketing in my life. And I invited her over to my mom's house because she just moved here. We hit it off. I said, if this works for me, I'll tell the world. And I did. Like, I lost 6 pounds and 12 inches in 11 days. And I was like shocked. And I didn't feel deprived. And it was like those last baby pounds, like I just could not get off. And I did. And with that company, I went to 6 figures in a year. And I will tell you, I just was like ignorance on fire. You know, people come into network marketing, they want to like know everything of the ingredient and the product and the company and the compensation plan. And I was like, just take the shit. It's amazing. Put it in your body. There's a 30-day guarantee, period. Like, it's it. And I think as human beings, we want to overcomplicate everything. Yes. I mean, it's in our nature. And so I just kept it super simple. But I will tell you, I almost quit because I had my best friend. So I'm at another home party for adult toys. And I'm talking to my friend, my girlfriend hosted this party. And I'm talking to my girlfriend. She's like, so what's the thing you're doing now? And I said the name of the company. And she's like, oh yeah, it's like one of those pyramid schemes. And I'm like, what?
Oh man.
I never heard of that before. Now remember, I owned a sandwich shop. So I never knew what network marketing and all this pyramid stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you know, like where you're just trying to get people into stuff. And she went on and on. And I was like super offended. I was like, okay. I went home and I was like really upset with to my husband. He's like trying to calm me down. And then I was like, I don't know if this is right for me because she was like dogging on it, right? And then I talked to my upline, who is now like one of my best friends, even though I'm not with that company anymore. We're still great friends.
Right.
Like, she never treated me any different. And she said, Julie, listen to me. Like, there will be people that will be on board and there will be people that will be against you. But you know what? Nobody pays your bills but you. And so if you feel like this is something that you're excited about, don't let what anybody else has placed upon you, like basically don't let her words affect me. And I will tell you, it was the best advice ever, because that's when I really started growing the snake skin. And like, I just shed that and like grew new skin. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to surround myself with the people that get it and not surround myself with people that don't. Because then I had another issue with another friend and I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I just kept going. I did my thing. They watched. Everyone watches. And it was never an issue again. Like, it never even comes up. And I think it also was me having to build up my personal development, my belief, my confidence, me having to become a student of like, what the heck is this network marketing thing? Right. Like, I didn't know. I just knew I liked the product, but if I was going to build the business, I had to really like become the student. So that's what
great.
happened.
I love that. Let me ask you a question too. You start, I think you said ignorance on fire. You're just going. You like your
Oh yeah.
attitude, a lot of people will get into the business and just the nature of who they are as people allow them to be successful. Network marketing, you can be successful if you can open your mouth. If you can talk to people, build relationships, you're going to be successful. That incident with your friend who wanted to deflate your balloon is interesting because I think most people that have been in network marketing, I was willing to say everybody, has that person in their life that says, what are you doing? You can't be in this. It's a scam. It's a pyramid scheme. What are you doing? And at that point, you have a decision to make. You can give into those limiting beliefs that somebody else placed on you, or you can do the opposite, what you did. And I think that really helped propel your career is you had the attitude, you had the determinism to say, I'm going to make this succeed. Then after you evaluated what your friend said, you kind of married the two. That you said, I needed to be a student. I needed to really understand. But also, I think what really helped is that you realized I don't need to give power to these people who want to take power away from me. It's my job.
Oh,
It's my
for
business.
sure.
It's my life. We give so much attention, I think, and power to other people's opinions because now everybody's got an opinion. You can't go anywhere without hearing somebody say how they feel about something, as if we wanted to hear what their opinion is. So it's harder now, I think, to fight through that because there are millions of people saying, you can't do this, you're doing this wrong. And I think it's great that you were able to take that and instead of using it as something that would demoralize you or make you say, you know what, maybe you're right, this isn't my business, to say, I'm going to lean into this and actually get better because of what you're telling me.
Yeah, if it did anything, it fueled me. And I think Jim Rohn said it best. He said, discipline your disappointments. Like I was really disappointed in her and what she had to say to me about something I was excited about. And so if anything, it was like, well, you know what? I can either hide and let this like you said, let her take the power away from me, or roll up my sleeves and like really become a student and like a professional, that a student and then become a professional.
Right.
Because then I went on and I was, I've been in the top 1% of network marketing. And then I left that company. I resigned in 2017
Mm-hmm.
for quite a few reasons, but one of them was they wanted to control my brand. And I said, nobody is going to tell me what I can and cannot do in this online world and what I can and cannot do on my website. I own my website. And they just weren't having it. And I had it. And by the end of the day, I was like, is this really worth it? And it wasn't just me, it was a few other people that they were bringing down as well. And I saw the control starting to happen. And so I decided to resign.
Mm-hmm.
People
Ooh, that's
thought I
pretty
was
hard, wasn't
absolutely
it?
crazy. Are you freaking kidding me?
Holy
Yes.
cow. I mean,
Yes.
you built something with your sweat equity and all of a sudden to walk away from it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, but no one's going to attack my integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So and when the owner of the company calls you, and actually it was that call after I hung up the phone and realized this is not going to change. And I hung up the phone. I emailed compliance and I said, send me the forms I need to sign. I'm resigning. So she did me a favor because I ended up joining a new company. I didn't know if I was going to join another company. I'll be honest. I thought I was just going to go fully in with my brand
Mm-hmm.
and, my coaching and all that. But I love residual income. Like, who doesn't love passive income? You go online right now and there's all these coaches out there and they want to learn how to make passive income. Well, you want to make passive income, you got to give this your all. You put work into it, but it's not hard work.
Right.
It's work. It's not hard though, but you go full blown, you become a trailblazer, you build it up, and then yes, the residual starts to happen. Well, I love that part of it.
Sure.
So I said, well, and I knew a lot of the companies out there, and there was really no other company I was going to join. I was coaching a lot of people in other companies, and then there was this one company that my best friends were in, and I loved the way that they were doing things because they were doing everything online. It was exactly what I stood for. There was systems. It was exactly what I wanted, and I ended up just diving in, and it's my second company and my second only company. Like, I will not be going anywhere else. It's been amazing, and within a year I surpassed what I was making with my last company
Let me ask you a question.
from scratch. Wait, this is a big piece because we're going to be talking about branding from scratch. I did not take my team.
That was my question. So did you get to take your team with you, or it was over?
No, I didn't even really tell my team until after it. And I didn't even fully, because I will tell you, it was such a difficult time of my life. And I didn't want them to get the perception and the bad taste of what I had in my mouth. And it was the wounds were so fresh that I feel like if I would have just unleashed. And I didn't want that on them. So I told a few of my key leaders, and then like my upline kind of dispersed it through, because I'm like, I'm not going to call thousands of people.
Call everybody. Did you know that leaving that company, when you decided when you had that call with the compliance guy and you're like, okay, I'm done. Did you know at that point that if you left, you wouldn't be able to take your network with you?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so funny. The timing's perfect. We did just a training yesterday on this about when you work for a company and you're using their replicated websites, you're using their marketing, they own you still.
Yeah.
And it takes finding out the hard way. The most valuable thing that you create in your business is your list, your relationships, your network of people. And if you don't own that, then somebody else does. And I'm so glad you brought that up. And I can't believe that you had to start afresh and new. I mean, it's like going back to school again.
Yes, I know. And as I'm now moving forward and like re-identifying my personal brand moving forward now, I'm like, okay, I've done it once before. I could do it again, right? Like we're constantly, I feel like every couple of years in this like reinvention, right? Like, because we're growing as humans. So like we talked about how our ancestors and grandparents have been in the same job for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Like that does not excite me. I know me now on such a personal level because I went through the healing. I've done the inner work. I know what I like and I know what I don't like, and I won't stand for anything less. I am a free spirit. I love to travel. I love freedom. I love my family. I love my faith. Nobody's going to tell me what I can and cannot do. Right. And so, I love health and fitness. I love experiences, and I love to give people experiences. Like these are the things I love. I hate tech. Do not tell me I have to, right? Like, no, I am not like a manifesting coach or anything like that. Like that's great. But that's another thing. Like, I don't do that. Yes, I visualize, like I feel like that's different, but people are like, well, you won't be successful if you don't manifest. That's bullshit. Like, no, it's just, it doesn't work for me. It's not who I am. Right. And so, it's like all those things that people want to place over you. It's like, no, you have to know who you are to your core. You have to know what you like and your dislikes, and you have to play upon your likes, because so many people are so worried about improving their dislikes or what they're not so good at, where no, you have to emphasize this over here and what you're really, really good at. Right.
I love
focus over here and get even better.
Right.
So, and I like variety, right? Which is, I think I took it to the nth degree when I was in my Create Success with Julie brand. I mean, at one point, I think I counted in my ClickFunnels, I had 92 funnels. 92.
Wow.
I had 14 lead magnets, freebies. If you guys don't know what a lead magnet is, it's like one of those things where you see the ad and then people, like grab your free report or my free guide or my whatever, and then I had 9 courses. Like I took it to the nth degree, because when I go all in, Jeff. Like, let's just say what it is. But I learned a lot. So now I can help people that want systems and automation and a program. Like I know how to help them to rein it in and focus and not let that go out, and really strategize around that. So see, those are my strengths, right? Like playing upon my strengths. So it all came through trial and error and going through what I had to go through. And now it's like, okay, now here I am reinventing myself. Now, how can I help people over here so they don't make the same mistakes that I did?
A lot of us spend our time, like you said, this is what I don't do well. So let me put all my focus and attention over on this thing that I don't do well, because I want to do it well. And what we do is we step over what we do well, what we really like. And it's, you know, and it's in this whole journey of personal development, self-improvement. You know, you think to yourself, I already do this well, so I'm going to pin that to a wall because I already do it well. I don't need to put any work into it. This is what I don't do well. And it takes off our focus on, well, if this is what I do well, let me run with this. You know, let me get really, really good at that.
Let me put this in terms so if network marketers are listening to this, they can understand it. Okay. Because like we're talking about, we're using language, funnels and lead magnets. That's like the online world. So if you're in network marketing, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about you having that Mother Teresa syndrome where you're so focused on this one person because you know that your product could help this person, but this person is giving you so much back, pushed you back so many times that you're so focused on this person and helping them. But if they could see my product can help you to lose that weight and help you get rid of the discomfort and all the things, my product is so good. But then, you know, Bob and Sue and Jeff and Connie and like all these other people are going by that they're not even paying attention to because the focus is on this one person that they're like just pulling and tugging and they want them to come into the business. That's what we're talking about, right? So it's the same thing with you. Like to be focused on, well, I'm not good when we're talking back now in the online world. Like I said, I'm not good with tech, okay, at all. So that would be like me going to take a tech class. I have no interest in tech. I don't care, but it would be like me knowing I'm really good with business strategy, sales, and branding. Those are my strengths. Oh, but I got to be good with tech because I need to know how to put all the pieces together so they communicate and they can deliver the emails. Let me go take this tech class. That's a waste of my time, right? Like that's what's called outsourcing, right? And it's worth every single penny you have. And there's great people out there that are not expensive, right? It's understanding and then understanding, okay, well, I'm not good at that, so I need to outsource this.
Yes. It's being able to leverage other people's knowledge, people's skills, and also time. And I think that's going to kind of lead us into what really is the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about today. It's interesting to hear your story because I understand now why branding is so important to you. People that go through those journeys, the beautiful ancillary benefit of it is you start to understand who you are as a human being. What I like, what I don't like, what I want to do, what I don't want to do. And that leads us to what you're doing now. You know, we've talked about the importance, and I can't wait for you to talk to our audience about this, the power of a brand. You're not the company that you work for. You're not the network marketing company that you work for. You are your own brand. And I think if more people, and I'm really excited to have you talk about this, understand that and can determine what their brand is, a lot of the things that people leave the industry because of or get discouraged because of can be eliminated. You're your brand. If this company doesn't work out, then this company will. If this one doesn't work out, this will. But if you're true to your brand and you've built your brand, then you really are in the driver's seat for your career. So I'm ready for you to start talking about branding, what led you to that. And I know you have some stuff that you want to share with our audience about how you create a brand and why it's important.
Yeah. So, okay. So here we are, so I left my company in 2017, but it was really the end of 2015, 2016 that I really felt like I needed a break. And I didn't really know what that was. I just felt like, you know what, I've been building network marketing for a while. I told you I like variety, right? And I started feeling like I'm like in the hamster wheel again, you know? So what's my next move? Well, it was before people were really talking about attraction marketing and branding. You know, it was before that where when I was coming online, it was funny. Like I didn't know. I just started, I started in like a coaching program to become a coach. I'm like, I don't even want to become a coach, but there was like things in there that she was teaching and talking about, which was branding and funnels and Facebook ads. And when I first heard the word funnel and understood what it does in automation, I almost became obsessed with it. Right. And so I was like, well, I'm not my company. I'm not the cleanse and the shake girl. And I started to feel like I was becoming that way. And then I'm like, I'm me. And I think though, I always showed up as me on social media because I will tell you, there was one thing in that company, my first company, I learned, and I learned really good. It was curiosity based marketing. I
Mhm.
never, people would always say, what company are you with? Or what is this? I never, ever was like that girl spamming. I've never even did reach outs. I've never even done cold reach outs in my
Wow.
entire career. I've never built a list. I've never had a home party of my own. Okay. So what I did was I utilized Facebook. When I knew I wanted to build that business, I got a Facebook account and I started using it. So now Facebook has changed like dramatically since 2012. But okay, so it's 2016 and I'm like, well, I mean, I'm my own brand. So I started learning a lot around branding, and there's so many different layers to branding. I cannot get into all of it right now,
Mhm.
but really, I feel like when it comes to a personal brand, what that is what you project onto others, like how you make them feel, like the emotion that they get when they see you, when they hear you, And so I said, okay, well, when I first jumped into this, they said, okay, well, what are three traits that you want people to feel when they see you? Right. And
Mhm.
I said, well, trustworthy, right? Authentic and fun. Okay. So I know this works because through the years since that time, I have had so many people reach out to me and say how much they love how authentic I am. Or they'll say, I know I can trust you. So what do you know about this? Right? Like people will come to me. People have come to me to ask me if they should spend $30,000 on a program, like based off of my word. And so
Wow.
your word is everything.
Sure.
And so when you're building a personal brand, it's personal. It is you, and it is you showing up at 100 and nothing else. And this is when you really have to put the blinders on because there's so many others out there. Now, I will tell you, think about someone that you admire today, right? So when you're creating your personal brand, you want to think of who out there do you admire, right? Like who do you watch? And run yourself through this exercise, like how do you feel when you see them? What is the emotion that they're giving you? Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Do you feel like you could trust them? Do you feel joyful, right? Happiness, like what is that feeling? And you're excited to see them, or you're excited to see what they're coming out with, right? And then you identify those emotions and then you show up. I'm not saying the copycat, but you say, okay, now how can I show up for my audience in that way? Because that's really what the personal brand is all about.
I
And I
love
know that there's your brand logo and brand identity, which the identity is you. And then there's your brand story. There's all these like other layers to branding, right? Even down to like the colors that you choose for your brand can have an emotional trigger with your audience. So for instance, if you use yellow, that is happiness,
it.
right?
Mhm.
If you use red, that is fierce, bold, romance, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of relationship coaches probably use red, like
Red, sure.
all of these things. Okay. But I'm not going to go that deep into all of it, but there's different layers of branding. What you need to identify with in the beginning is you need to decide what you want to be known for. That's the very first thing. And oftentimes, this is like the most difficult question to answer. This is why so many people get stuck.
Right.
And you know why? Even me, right? As I've been going through and like re-identifying my own brand, I need a coach to help me because we live so close to it.
Mhm.
And sometimes when we're so close to it, I could say, okay, well, I want to be these things, and I know that I'm fun, and I know I'm authentic because I literally wear my emotions on my sleeve. Like I can't hide it. Like if I'm pissed, I'm pissed, right?
You know it.
If right, if I'm happy, I'm happy. Like I wear my emotions. Um, and so, but if this is hard for you to kind of come up with, what you could do is you can ask others how they describe you, and
Oh, I
do
like
it
that.
in a way, yeah. And you can literally just have them, ask them to do this for you. And, I would say maybe like five, like describe five things,
Mhm.
right? Like what, how can they describe you? Like what are your best attributes? And then maybe what is something that I can improve upon, right? But again, we're not focusing on what we are not good at, right?
Right,
But
right.
there's always that constructive criticism. We're
Mhm.
always, like I said, learning and growing. Um, what are your talents? What are your qualities? What are your skill sets? So you just like want to run yourself through that exercise and like write these things down.
Mhm.
And so again, when I was starting online, I'm like, well, I want to be known for the network marketing boss that basically has had success and done it without spamming, everybody and their mother, right?
Right,
Like I
right.
want to teach them how to use social media and their brand to their benefit, and not having to feel, you know, um, like they're being that spam bot, which
Right.
I know a lot
Sure.
of people, and they still do. That the
Still do
crazy
it.
thing is like people are still doing this. I was spammed last week, and I'm like, okay, let me ask you, do you, and I won't berate somebody for, you know, doing it, but I'm like, do you feel good doing this? Well, this is what I'm taught. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not the right way. And I can help you, or I'm going to share a couple tips with you. And I did.
Well, good for you.
And yes, yes. And so again, it's what others think, right? And how you want to be perceived. It's
Mhm.
what you think, right? So this is where you want to pull out like all of your qualities, your skill sets, your talents, what you want to be known for, who you could help. And then in the middle of that is your brand. Like that's how you really identify your brand. And there's several questions that you can run yourself through, but for sake of time, I'm just giving you like the high level version right
The
now.
Cliff Note version.
The cliff note. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. It's funny you talked about the spammy thing. I think that what is really important is for people to take the time to really figure out, like you said, what do I want to be?
Yes.
I love what you said. How do I want people to react to me? How do there's so many people, you and I talked about this before we jumped online, that are experts. There's so much static right now, and the pandemic did a lot of good
Yes.
things. It drove people to think, okay, let me analyze where I'm at in my life right now. Did I really like my job? Was it making me happy? Was I getting what I want out of it? The bad part of it is so many people got driven out of brick and mortar online that a lot of people followed them online, and a lot of people all of a sudden became experts. I think I can imagine 10, 100, 1,000x the number of gurus or trainers that popped up online during the pandemic, some of
I
them
know.
legit. But
I
what's
know.
been hard, I think, for our audience and for a lot of people that want to do network marketing, want to do online marketing, whatever it is to truly take the time before you jump in to say, what am I good at? What do I want to do? And then angle their progress and their effort in that way.
Yes.
Instead of all the options that are out there, I don't think people trust themselves. And if you
Right.
stopped and figured out who you really are, what you want to do becomes a lot more clear to you, because like you said, you don't talk about what you don't like to do, what you're good at. You talk about what you're good at. And if people would realize what they're good at, take what you're good at, stack on it, and now you're going to find something that you're passionate about, that you're good at. There's what you want to do, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel or reinvent your life.
Well, right. So part of my reinvention is I don't want to teach social media, because I
Mhm.
feel like social media like sucks your soul. Like that is truly how I feel. And
I
I don't
agree.
want to teach people how to do that. I want to teach people, yes. So social media is a tool, right? Just like ClickFunnels is a tool. I
Mhm.
get it. Like we need social media, but utilizing it intentionally, showing up, like not utilizing it to just scroll and see whose birthday it is today. Like, no, it's all about intention when you're building a brand. So the step, and there is no such thing as a perfect brand. So let's get that out of the whole. There's no such thing as a perfect
Mhm.
brand. Your brand will continuously be evolving as well. And your audience will actually help you to grow and identify your brand even more. Because what you think your audience might want might not be it. And then they're asking you about something else. And then you're like, oh, this seems to be landing more for my audience. So that happened. So as I'm teaching network marketing, my audience wanted to know more about lead funnels and how to create all that. So that's what my coaching ended up being, is like, I would strategize and help them create lead funnels. And a lead funnel is you leading with you, your brand, not your company. On the back end, through email marketing, is when you will introduce them to your company and what you do, and there's a way to do it. But that's where everyone was hiring me to help them to do. And I'm like, okay, well, they don't really want to know recruiting and how to overcome objections. This is really what they want to know. So I was evolving with my brand. So you have to lay the foundation first. It's like stacking your bricks on your house, right? Like if we don't have a steady foundation, the house is going to fall over. So with your brand, it's the same thing. It is decide what you want to be known for, know your qualities, your skill sets. What is the shit that you enjoy talking about? Okay. Don't go and do something that you think is just going to sell, because I'll tell you right now, oh my gosh, you will hate your life. Okay. Like I tried doing that and it sucked. Okay. So once you identify what others think and what you think and what your audience, who your audience is, then the next step is saying, okay, asking, how can I help you? Right. Because we're serving, asking them, maybe giving them some options, what they, letting them know, hey, I'm going to be creating some more content. Hey, I'm going to around this, or hey, I'm going to be, helping you with your sales game. What are the 3 things that you want to know most? And give them options. Don't just like ask open-ended questions, because you won't get any answers. Give them A, B, and C. People, it's like freaking kindergartners, A, B, and C.
You gotta lead them.
Yes, you have to lead them. And then this is how you know how to create your content. And when you're showing up then to social, because it's a tool, you're showing up intentionally, then you're sharing the content, you know that this is what people want, then they're looking at you as a trusted advisor. See, this is how it works. So my brand was growing because I was showing up, I was, giving them free content, doing my Facebook lives, giving them my lead magnets, then they're into my world, they're going into my email list, and you want an email list. Prime example, what just happened with Facebook, right? Like we don't own Facebook. We don't own any social media. Oh, my Roomba wants to come in. He's out there.
He's looking.
He's like banging the door. Like I call him a he. I don't know. Maybe it's a she. My Roomba is banging down my door going, let me in. I need to get in here. Yes. And I know I have like about 10 more minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you have a time limit.
But this is super important. So you don't just want to create content to create content. You want to create valuable content and keep it short and concise. Remember, we talked about attention spans, right? And so, but this is how the cycle starts. And then they get on your email list. You want to give them something in exchange for their email. It's super important. We just talked about what happened with social media. So this is the cycle. Identify the brand, right? We talked about this. Who is your target audience? What do they need help with? Right? Give them some options. Okay. Create the valuable content, get them into your world, into your sphere, give them something for free. And I don't have time to get into funnels, but it's really simple. I know it sounds scary to some people, but it's not. And I like I told you, I went a little overboard. You don't need 14 lead magnets or whatever. You guys, I am a manifesting generator. If you know anything about the human design, I'm a manifesting generator, which means I need multiple things going on to like survive. Okay. And I'm a visionary entrepreneur and I'm a creative. Okay. So creating content for me is very easy, where I know it's not for other people. So if it's not for you, if you struggle with creating content, you need to get inspired somehow. Listen to a podcast, read a book around the subject you're teaching, right? Don't plagiarize, but give them 3 top tips, 1 main objective, right? Like don't ever go over 5. 5 is even a lot. Like don't do like my 10 top tips to getting a flat belly by next week. Like, it's too much. It's too much. And so that's the good news for you. See, shifting your perspective. What did I tell you? Long form content is no longer. Long videos is no longer. People's attention spans are not there. So what's the good news for you? You could show up in 30 seconds and create an impact if you just have 30 seconds of valuable content, right?
Right.
You could create a post if you just say, here's my 3 easy steps to blah, blah, blah. So if you're in a network marketing business, let's just say, like, okay, let's use me for an example real quick. Like, if I wanted to go out and create a new brand, right? Which let's say it's around health and wellness. I'm 44. I know what I like, what I don't like. I know I love talking about fitness and wellness and nutrition, right? And then again, like, what do you not like talking about? I don't know. I kind of like talking about everything, but like, maybe I create something for hormones, like to help. So I create like this guide that says, 5 tips to living your better life and hormone free in your 40s. I'm pulling that out of my ass right now, right?
I like it.
We would have to definitely flush that out. So when I go online and I'm talking about hormones and bloating and can't sleep and night sweats and all the things, at the end of my content, I'm like, hey, did you grab my free guide to the 5 top tips or blah, 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 blah. Or you could even sell something, which I like, for $7. You know why? Because now you're building a tribe of buyers. Anyone will pull out that credit card if it is important for, $7. Like,
right, that's easy.
By phone. Like, it's easy. And now you're creating a list of buyers. And that's, and you're not creating the list of the freebie seekers. So you could create maybe a video with a guide, right? It's a little bit more robust than $7. So I'm just giving you an example of like what I would do. So every time I would come online and give like tips or whatever in my stories, I could say, hey, grab my free guide. I could put the link there, blah, 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 blah. It's simple. It is such a simple progression into the next step of your relationship with that person. And then they get to know, like, love you, trust you, get excited about you, all the things. They want to keep hearing from you. Do you see how that works? But yet we overcomplicate the whole process. But through the whole thing in branding, you guys, the most important thing, take this away, is be relatable and constantly share your story. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about, is brand story. So we have like a bank of stories from our life, right? Like, we have an adolescent story, right? Like, I shared probably a lot of stories today.
Right.
We have lessons learned in high school. We have maybe somebody that was an influence over us when we were younger. We have our stories maybe when we were in corporate America and we're not in corporate America anymore. Like, how did you feel? Like, there's so many stories, but yet we don't take a time and like put pen to paper and write it down. And we could say, okay, here's a story for this. Here's a story for this. Because that's how you're relatable, is through your story.
Right.
And so people are going, me too. Oh my gosh. Now she knows, where I'm coming from. Yes, I felt that way too. Oh, I really, and they remember your story. They'll remember stories over anything, right?
Yeah, they stick with you.
Yes. And you could, so back to my example with the hormones, I could say, oh my gosh, you guys, listen, I have a story for you. The other night, I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was just like drenched. And this is how I was feeling. And I didn't know, I'm like, what am I going through? These are hormonal changes. And so I had to check out for myself what I can do for these hormonal changes. And I wanted to share them with you, because I know if I'm struggling with it, you're struggling with it too. These night sweats, blah, blah, whatever it is, or I can't sleep, whatever it is. It's okay that you're saying, oh, this is the problem I'm having. I am found solutions. I'm going to now share it with you. And you do that. And they're like, they freaking love you for it. They love you for it because you know why? You're relatable and you're going through the same things they are.
You're authentic. And I mean, I hate the fact that we've got to stop. I know that you've got another appointment coming up, but I wanted to summarize a couple things, and then the rest we're going to do round 2 when we go, because we definitely have to have another one. I love that you talk about the importance of branding, because a lot of people struggle with, I know I need to be online. I know I need to create content. What do I do? When you understand who you are, when you understand how you want to serve other people and how you can serve other people, content almost is an afterthought. It becomes easier because you have the content. And then I love the fact about storytelling. One thing that I think helps people relate to us is our vulnerability. And a lot of us have a hard time being vulnerable. You know, maybe somebody will say no, they'll reject me, but through our vulnerability, we are able to tell stories about ourselves. And that's what people truly want at the end of the day, is they want authenticity. We talk about all the charlatans and the gurus. What attract people to you is the confidence in yourself and your vulnerability, which equals confidence. You can't be vulnerable online or with any of your network unless you're confident in who you are. And it all starts with taking the time to define who you are, what you want. I mean, we could go on, Julie. I love this brand.
God, I could go on and on and on. Like it is, you know, you can't develop content unless you know who you're speaking to, like period. And then there is inner work that needs to be done around branding, because, and to like really identify who you are and your purpose and your passion, and like what is your what, right? Like what is the what? There's work that could be done around that as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to just put like the sword in it. Listen, this is how powerful branding is. You know, I came online, I started a business page, a Facebook business page. Nobody knew me. Nobody was there. Nobody. And back then it was about business pages. Now it's about groups, right? So because I was showing up and doing video and sharing who I was and doing all the things, my business page grew to 54,000. My email list grew to 42,000 in 2 years. And I grew 3 additional 6-figure income streams in 12 months.
Wow.
I also switched companies and went to the top of the company in a year from scratch. Why? Because of a brand, period. They will follow you. And it's not your product, it's not your company, it's not anything. It's you and what you're dishing out. So that's why I feel so strongly about the whole branding process, where people are so focused on the sales and marketing and Facebook ads and this and that. It's like, no, you have it all wrong. You have to be, first of all, you have to make sure you're in alignment with what you're going to be going out there and doing. And that's all part of the brand process. And I skipped over a lot of those really key critical condition or questions, because when I first started, they're like, oh, just teach what you know. And I'm like, well, I know network marketing. I could teach them like how not to spam, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to do. And they're like, well, just start there. And I get, we have to start somewhere, which is why I'm saying it's fine, because then it will evolve to what your audience wanted. Because my audience wanted to know more about, at the time, it was really about attraction marketing and automation and funnels and putting together like a lead magnet and all that good stuff, which I still believe to this day, like people still want to know. And doing it now over and over and over, I wouldn't have them do a lead magnet. I would have them do like a self-liquidating offer, which is the $7 to $12 offer. So we're now building an email list with eager people that really want you. If someone's going to pull out their credit card for you, and then that could also go back to a mental thing of scarcity. But what if my email list doesn't build fast enough? Well, who cares? Listen, I took my 42,000 email list and brought it down to 7,000. I scrubbed the whole thing. I don't really care. That is my real estate. Like, you're taking up my real estate. So get off. I don't want the freebie seekers. So we only went to the people that have been in my courses and have bought for me, or like continue to open my emails.
They trust you, they love you, and it's funny, they, 1,000 true fans, is that what it takes? And they will follow you anywhere.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I hate the fact that we have to end this. I know. So let me, Julie, you've been awesome. I have 5 questions that I want to ask you.
Yes.
We can do this really quickly because I know you have something. And we're definitely gonna have to do a round 2 because there's a lot more we want to talk about.
Okay.
All right, so this is the gauntlet of 5 questions. Say whatever comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answers. Just helps people kind of understand spontaneity and how you answer some questions. So are you ready?
Yes.
First question. My purpose is?
to live life fully. And to
I think
help
you're doing a great
others
job of
do
that
the
too, by the
same.
way.
And to help others do the same, because what's the point of going at it alone?
You're right. It's better in groups.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. That's not as easy, right? Question number 2. My vision is.
Oh gosh. My vision is to set more people free. They could do what they love with whom they love and not have to worry about time, not have to worry about money. And so they can, truly feel fulfilled and happiness. And like we said, it's not always about the money. It's about quality.
I love that. Set people free. We've had a lot of diverse answers and nobody's ever said that. I love that answer. All right. Moving to question number 3. I am.
Amazing.
Yes. I love that. All right. Question number 4. It all comes down to.
Nobody cares. Work harder.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. You've done great. Question number 5. What I understand best is.
Oh, God. What I understand best is that nothing is ever perfect. It is literally just enjoying the journey and not putting pressure on yourself throughout that. It's about having fun and learning and not taking it so serious.
I love it. Made it. 5-question gauntlet. Julie, you are awesome. I know you got to run. Before you jump off, where can our audience go to find you? Where if they want to contact you, if they want to find out more about you, where should they go?
They could go to thefreedomdesigner.com, which is my website.
Okay.
They could always find me on Facebook, and I have a group. It's called Freedom Business Academy. And
that's on Facebook?
Yeah, and it's for high vibe women that want to learn how to make multiple incomes.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll get that all published in the show notes. Julie, I'm so glad you jumped on today. I love it. I can't wait to connect again. I think we've got a lot of fun stuff we're going to be working on. You've been awesome. I thank you for coming on and hope we get to do it again sometime.
Yes, absolutely, Jeff. It was such an honor. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for jumping on today. Julie Burke was our guest. We'll put some information in the show notes on where you can get a hold of her. You can go visit her website, find her on Facebook. Thanks for jumping on, everybody. Julie, have an awesome day. Everybody else have an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.